Hello, my name is Levi and I'm a driver.
Hello, my name is Alan Chandler. I'm the 2nd Battalion 11th Marines Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Defense Specialist.
Good evening, everyone. I am Zane Roper, and I am currently studying at the University of Maryland University College. And the brief I'll be giving you is on the H&K M27 IAR and why I think it is a better replacement for the M4 rifle that the Marine Corps is currently using. To start off with defining marksmanship, since it is such a core part of the Marine Corps, as national interest had said it, marksmanship is the ability to shoot accurately and service targets with the minimum expenditure of ammunition, and this has always been a part of the Marine Corps' ethos, which is why the M27 is replacing the M249 squad automatic rifle as well, or squad automatic weapon. Now, I think it's important to go over the history of the Marine Corps choosing the H&K's M27. In 2005, the Marine Corps first initiated its request for information to many arms manufacturers to start producing a weapon that can replace the M249 squad automatic weapon, which is the automatic rifleman's weapon of choice within the squad. This weapon is mainly used for suppressing fire within the squad, and that is why the M27 is such a big contradiction to that role, because it does not suppress as much or put down as much rounds as the M249. That's where the Marine Corps' ethos of marksmanship comes into play, because we are choosing to have a more accurate weapon opposed to a weapon that can just fire more rounds but will be ultimately more inaccurate. In 2010, that is when the M27 began production through H&K, and then 2011, General Amos approved the M27 to replace the M249. That's whenever General Amos had talked to Task and Purpose about agreeing that the M27 was a good compromise for the Marine Corps and choosing a more accurate weapon over a more of a just firing lead downrange weapon. In 2017 is when the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Robert B. Neller, had ordered for all 0311s, which is the MOS for the riflemen of the Marine Corps, to be issued the M27 and start replacing all M4s and M16s. This was also a big deal, since now the basic service rifle for the Marine Corps would be getting switched out for the M27. I'll be going into the specifications of why the M27 is the better choice for the service rifle as well. The current phase for issuing all of the M27s is between fiscal year 2019 and 2020. There's already been implementations into several of the battalions currently with the M27 as going into the 1st Marines battalions as well. So some of the less known facts about the process for getting the M27 as the service rifle of the Marine Corps and as just replacing the M249 is the conflicts that the Marine Corps had to handle with Congress. In March 2018, from an article by the Marine Corps Times, it had stated that Congress had actually started, quote, grilling the Marine Corps commanders for choosing to solely have one source for producing the H&K M27, and that is through the H&K company, which is a German manufacturing company. And Congress was making a big deal about this to the Marine Corps commanders because the Marine Corps was choosing to source this out to a German company instead of sourcing it out to several different American manufacturers. This was ultimately suppressed since in May 2017, the Marine Corps was able to cut a deal with the H&K arms manufacturing company to go from the $3,000 priced weapons for the producing one H&K M27 to the now $1,300 price. So it's severely reduced the price, which overall made Congress more willing to allow the M27 to replace the M4. Now, for the evaluation process that the M27 had to go through in 2011, it started being tested between 5 different battalions, one for each of the MEFs, so on the East Coast, West Coast, and in Japan. And then there was one for an LAR battalion, and one battalion was a reserve unit. All 5 battalions were sent to Afghanistan for a live action test overseas to test how it would perform in the heat, cold, and dust environment. The M27 obviously passed all tests and is now being processed through to the new service rifles. So there was a few problems in the testings. The 2 of the primary snags that had been reported on was the H&K's original aluminum magazines. They were prone to causing what they call brass over bolt malfunctions, which is just where the round doesn't properly eject from the bolt after one round had been fired. The bolt goes back to release the brass, and then it ends up getting stuck instead of fully ejecting. This was fixed by the Marine Corps using what is called the PMags, which is what is also used by the M4s and M16s, which ultimately allows for better interchangeability between M4 mags and the M27's mags. There was also the fact that the M27 had a slower fire rate than the M249. However, as I mentioned earlier, it was ultimately deemed acceptable since the Marine Corps cares more about having a more accurate rifle than a rifle that can just shoot more lead downrange. So going into some of the specifications about the M27 and comparing it to the M4 and M249, the M27 is piston driven instead of gas operated as the M4 is. This allows the weapon to be more clean after shooting for an extended period of time, which as for Marines it's a substantial upgrade since we're having to spend so much time at the armory and cleaning the weapons. The piston driven is a better option because and it reduces less carbon, because as for the gas operated, whenever the explosion of the bolt or the explosion of the bullet being fired has all of the gas going from the end of the barrel back down to the upper receiver and chambering the new round, it instead uses a piston that is engaged at the end of the bolt or at the end of the barrel and flies the piston back to start engaging the bolt. So all the gas goes out at the end of the barrel instead of coming back into the rifle. Then it is another of the specifications is the free floating barrel. This is essentially, it sounds basically as the name says, the barrel doesn't touch any part of the rifle. It is completely free floating, and it is not in any way touching the stock as well, which is a big part in reducing the heat from the rifle. So the M27 can shoot more rounds at a faster rate than the M4 without overheating. And that goes into the sustained fire rate being 36 rounds per minute, where the M4's rounds per minute was roughly 9 to 10. So this is a substantial increase in the overheating capabilities. The cyclate rate of the M4 and M27, however, are basically the same, going from 700 to 850 rounds. The M4 or M27, in comparison to the M249, is significantly lighter, being at 9 pounds compared to 22 pounds. This will take effect to the longer distance in hikes, where having to carry a very large rifle like the M249 is compared to now an M27. The weight is comparable to the M4 as well, so there won't be much of a weight change there. And then the range is also improved, as well as the accuracy compared to the M4. The free-floating barrel allows for a longer range at 550 meters compared to the 500 meters for an M4. And standard issue is a bipod attached to the bottom of the receiver. These are the references I used for this brief. Are there any questions at this time? All right, gentlemen, thank you for attending my brief. That is all.